Hello everyone, my name is Denise and today I am going to show you how to solve a quadratic equation from a quadratic formula. First, we're going to learn how to derive the quadratic formula from the quadratic equation. What's a formula? What's the equation? The quadratic formula is designed to help us solve quadratic equations. The quadratic equation is the main form in which the variables of a parabola are written. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That is the quadratic equation. You can derive the quadratic formula from the quadratic equation. I'm pretty sure you guessed. And now we're going to see through our first steps. First, we start off with the quadratic equation, of course, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. What we do first is we subtract c from both sides of the equation to get ax squared plus bx equals negative c. Now what we do is that we divide everything over a. What we get is x squared plus bx over a equals negative c over a. And what we do now is that we add b squared over 4a squared to both sides of the equation. Remember that what you do to one side of the equation, you must always do to the other. What we're going to do now is that we're going to convert negative c over a to minus 4ac over 4a squared. Now we're moving on to our next steps. Basically, since we converted minus c to minus 4ac over 4a squared, b squared and minus 4ac have a common denominator, so we can combine those two fractions to get b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. What we're going to do now is that we're going to take the right side of the equation and we're going to simplify it. What we will get if we simplify it is that we'll get x plus b over 2a whole squared equals b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Basically what I did was I square rooted everything in our problem. So now I have x plus b over 2a because the square and the square root cancel out. On the left side, I just put a square root over b squared minus 4ac. The 4a squared has been simplified to 2a because I actually square rooted the term. Now we're on our last part. All we need to do is subtract b over 2a from both sides, and what we'll get is our quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac whole of divided by 2a. Now, what I want you to actually do now is that I want you to pause the video and write down this equation before we move on. Now that I hope you've paused the video, we're going to move on and we're going to learn how to actually solve an equation using the quadratic formula. First, we're going to do some inputting. We'll take a sample equation, x squared minus 10x plus 21 equals 0. First, what we want to do is that we want to take the equation and fit it into the formula. Remember to match the a, b, and c in the formula with the a, b, and c in the equation. Basically, we need to align ax squared plus bx plus c with the sample equation. So if you match the x squared and the x squared, where's the a next to the x? There is no number, so we automatically know there's a 1. Whenever you don't see a number next to our x value, we immediately know it's 1. So a equals 1. Now, we associate bx with negative 10x, so we know that the b value is negative 10. And then there's only two things left, c and 21, so we know that c equals 21. And so basically we take those values and we fit it into the quadratic formula. And if you see that, this is what we get right here on the screen. After that, we actually simplify. If you take the negative of negative 10 is 10. And then basically what we did was we did negative 10 times negative 10 is 100 minus 4 times 1 times 21, which is minus 84. So we have that 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 minus 84 over 2. And now what we do is that we subtract the 100 and the 84 to get a square root of 16, which is 4. So basically we'll be left with two different equations. 10 plus 4 over 2 and 10 minus 4 over 2. You should always separate the one equation into two different equations if you ever see a plus or minus sign. And now we're going to solve. Basically, if you add 10 plus 4 and then if you subtract 10 plus 4, you get 14 and 6. We divide both of those numbers by 2, and so the answer can either be 7 or 3. If you input these two answers into the original problem, x squared minus 10x plus 21, you will see that you get 0, which was the original answer to the question. Now, it comes to this. We're going to do some problems. X squared minus 7x plus 10. I want you to pause the video here, and I want you to solve that equation. Let's see whether you can do it. Now that you've hopefully solved the equation before we move on here, we're going to actually go on and see how to solve the equation. We have x squared minus 7x plus 10 equals 0. We input that into our quadratic formula to get 7 plus or minus the square root of negative 7 squared plus minus, 4 times 1 times 10 over 2 times 1. If you simplify it, first let's simplify inside the square root. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 minus 4 times 1 times 10, which is minus 40. So 49 minus 40 is 9. So we have the square root of 9. So we have 7 plus or minus the square root of 9 over 2, because 2 times 1 is 2. And now basically, if you simplify the equation fully, you have 7 plus 3 over 2 and 7 minus 3 over 2. If you solve these two equations, you will see that the answer can either be 5 or 2. If you input it into the quadratic equation again, you will see that the answer will always equal 0. If it doesn't, that means I've done something wrong, but I promise you, I did it right. And now I want you to solve x squared minus 14x plus 45 equals 0. And pause the video and solve it. Okay, now we will move on and see how to actually solve this equation. We have x squared minus 14x plus 45 equals 0. We input it into the quadratic formula and this is what we get. Now if you simplify everything, if you do it, you will get 14 plus 4 over 2 and 14 minus 4 over 2. So basically 18 over 2 and 10 over 2. So basically the answers we can get from these two equations are 9 and 5. And so that pretty much covers up what I wanted to talk about. And as always, thanks for watching.